Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and welcome to a cookbook talk. It's been a while since I've done a cookbook haul, and this one turned out to be a haul by cookbook author Sabrina Ghayour. I say it turned out to be. If you watched my channel and listened to any of the cookbook talks, back in 2020 when I moved into this house, I lost my cooking mojo, and I have been trying unsuccessfully to bring it back ever since. So one of the things that I do when I try is I look at cookbooks and recipes online, and then I don't ever cook anything from them. But I'm hoping to change that. And what I get a lot now from cookbooks is ideas. I got the techniques for most things down, although I'll talk about technique later on in here. But I like to look at flavor combinations and different things that you can do with flavors. So appropriately, the first cookbook that I want to talk about is Sabrina Ghayour's Flavor. Two things that are really interesting for me here. In Afghanistan, one of my favorite dishes is banjan biryani. It's eggplant, some tomatoes, served with kind of cooked together in a pan, cooked down, and served with a labneh or yogurt sauce, and scoop it up with naan. It is my absolute favorite meal, or part of a meal, and a colleague had his wife cook some the other day and bring it to me, and I ate every last bit of it and loved it. But in flavor, there are two different options that I want to try out really soon. I've got both ground beef and eggplant, or banjan, in the refrigerator, and she's got an ultimate ground beef and eggplant recipe with a yogurt sauce, and I picked up labneh today at the Mediterranean Mart, so I'm excited. And then the other thing that she has, which I found really intriguing, and I want to try this too, especially before I leave tomorrow. I'm going on a little trip, by the way. Let me find this. Is also an eggplant dish. And that is eggplant cut lengthwise and covered with tahini and honey and roasted. Actually, you roast the eggplant, then you put the tahini on it, and then you roast it again. And I look forward to trying that. I've got eggplant, I've got naan, I could make that ground beef, I've got labneh. Looking forward to trying this. The last dish in here that I really kind of made me think about my childhood. When I was growing up, we never had a toaster. We toasted our toast underneath the broiler, and so you had to be kind of quick on your feet and watch it really closely. And cinnamon toast was the worst. My dad, for whatever reason, did not like butter outside of the fridge. It had to stay on the fridge at all times. Me, I'll buy salted butter and leave it out all week, covered of course, but I want spreadable butter. And if it's in the fridge, it's not spreadable. So we would take pats of butter and put them on our bread, and then the butter would spread out just in that one thing, and then we would try to sprinkle cinnamon over it. So we had one real square of butter, and the rest is just dry toast with the sprinkles of cinnamon sugar that fell off. But Sabrina's got this cinnamon brioche toast, and she fries it in a pan, and I realized, why didn't we do that? Well, probably one, because we did not have spreadable butter in my house growing up. But two, you could do this with any kind of toast. You could even do it under the broiler. But pan frying, awesome. I'm going to adapt that technique. I haven't had cinnamon toast in decades. So probably time for it. Next book that I got by her, and I ordered 3 of these just in one day. Well, 2 days. But anyway, Persiana Every Day. She's got another one called Persiana, I think, that I did not get. But what intrigues me about this one, again, is flavor. Baked halloumi. I did not have this set to speak about, but I love halloumi. And there used to be a restaurant in town called Sheriffay, and they would do some like grilled halloumi with a spicy sauce. I absolutely loved it. That restaurant's closed down now. The owner no longer lives in town from what I heard, but he and his restaurant helped me to appreciate halloumi. And I bought some today at the Mediterranean Mart. So, one thing, again, I said I look for flavor profiles. I eat a lot of chicken thighs. I prefer bone in, skin on chicken thighs because it has just a little bit more flavor. And the most recent chicken thigh that I made had a coffee rub on it, and it was fantastic. Loved it. But this one is something different. And when it comes to chicken thighs, variety is key. This is a za'atar, paprika, and garlic. It looks very simple. I know it's simple to put it in the oven and roast it. And now I've got a different flavor. Now I've got a different flavor profile to follow. So I will add that into my repertoire. But speaking of halloumi, there's another recipe for halloumi in here. No picture, but it's called halloumi fata. And it is halloumi with ground beef and tahini yogurt. And this, I need to go back and get some more. I might make this tonight. My sister's here, and so we were kind of doing some eat on the floor menus. But this has got ground beef, cook it up. It's got halloumi. You basically fry the halloumi, and then you, oh, I don't have all the ingredients because it calls for pomegranate seeds, but this is what it looks like. I'll make that when my sister leaves, so I have it just for myself. Anywho, so next up, book 3. This is where the technique kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable. So a lot of her stuff on the stovetop is pretty straightforward, but there are several recipes in Simply where Sabrina calls on like 3 recipes, well, maybe not 3, but 2 recipes in a row. Particularly this one that I'm interested in, tepsi kebab, which is ground lamb. But she calls for anything that goes into the oven to go on the highest heat setting imaginable that your oven will go. And I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable with that. I broiled some toast this morning and I almost burnt it. I don't want to ruin good lamb. So what I will probably do, because I really want this tepsi kebab, is probably look out on the internet at some other options at how other people cook it and then kind of adapt it. You know, if it turns out broiling is the way to go, then we'll work with that, but that's not what I'm going to try first off. The other thing that I first put aside, there are so many good recipes in here, but I only wanted to highlight a few. This one's not it, but it's sliced lamb, date, and pine nut feta melts. So easy. Once you get the ingredients, I could just take it to work and pop it in the air fryer there to warm it up. Anywho, that's not what I meant to say. So we talked about tepsi kebab, and now I'm looking for... Remember how I said I love Biryani Banjan Biryani, whatever. I love it. This, she's got a recipe for a butternut biryani, which is basically butternut squash cooked biryani style, and use chili flakes and yogurt, and she's got dill in there. It looks awesome. Looks awesome, like a different accompaniment, something that's not eggplant. Variety. Look forward to trying that. And summer's coming. When I was a kid, a lot of these recipes, for some reason, even though not my culture, not the culture I grew up in, the culture I kind of adopted and fell in love with food-wise, but a lot of these recipes remind me of something from my childhood. And when I was a kid, we ate a lot of watermelon in the summertime. Of course, you know, as one does, we could get it, people grew them in their gardens and stuff like that. But I noticed a lot of the grown-ups would put salt, table salt, on their watermelon. My palate was not that advanced. It's not what it is today. And so I never wanted to try that. And when I did, it tasted salty. Again, I was not, it could be the table salt and the amount they put. But now I understand what salt does to a dish and even to watermelon. And so this summer I will be trying watermelon, black olive, and feta with cayenne, honey, and lime dressing. I love anything with cayenne. And this looks sweet and savory almost with the black olives, but sweet and salty. I look forward to trying this, and if I do, I will try to remember to let you know about it. This one calls for, because the recipe is vegetarian feta. I'm not getting that. I'm going to go for feta. Now, the last book that I want to feature is actually the first one that I bought. And when I bought these other 3 books, I did not realize that Sirocco, which I bought in 2016 or 2017 on a whim, Fabulous Flavors from the Middle East, was also by Sabrina Ghayour. When I was looking through and I had all these added to my cart, I was like, it brought this one up and I was like, oh, I have that. I didn't realize that was her. I have made only one thing from this, and that was a lokme, which is spiced lamb kebabs, but the lamb is ground and you just put it in a, you know, you cook it with the spices and you serve it in a tortilla or not with naan and harissa oil and yogurt sauce. I love yogurt sauce, let me just tell you that. I made that, it was good, but I also looked through this over the weekend and I thought about how I could apply some flavor profiles to different dishes. For example, she's got an orange, thyme, and spice chicken wings with orange juice, marmalade, thyme, cinnamon, turmeric, cayenne, garlic, and, you know, olive oil, black pepper. I could take these same flavors, put it on chicken thighs, and I already know how I'm going to cook my chicken thighs. So another thing that I do, I'm trying to get more variety, is sweet potatoes with baked feta. I bought feta today at the Mediterranean market. I've already got a sweet potato, so I may make this tonight, or I may wait till I come back from my trip. Anywho, she also, I don't have the picture of this here, has a recipe for citrus and za'atar chicken. I love za'atar as well. I love everything Middle Eastern, Persian, Afghan, that whole region where the foods are similar in some ways and different in not. And I'm really excited about this. I am hoping that some of these books, because they have dishes that are familiar to me or comforting to me, like Borani Banjan, that I'm hoping that it helps me get my cooking mojo back. Do you like Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, Persian, Afghan food? If so, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. If you've cooked from any of these books, I'd love to hear from you. And like I said, I'll be out on a trip, but I should be posting next week as usual. I just will not have read as much, and I don't think I'll have some actual new book hauls, but you never know. Anywho, if you've made it with me this long, as always, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.